We're going to discuss understanding CPG growth, D2C versus retail. Thinking of selling your product online or in retail in the stores? I don't know if you know, but each one has its own pros, each one has its own cons, and choosing the wrong path could cost you really big. Of course, growing a CPG brands means deciding between direct to consumer, which would be D2C, or you can go straight to retail. So let's break down the difference between both and let's see which one's best for you as I break through. So D2C, direct to consumer, as I said before. It involves selling via your website, Amazon, Shopify, social media, whatever you use. And you have more control of it when it comes to pricing and branding and shipping and anything else. And you're able to do a higher market when it comes to cost when you do direct to consumer, and you create relationships like getting emails, you have third-party delivery, 3PLs, all kind of stuff. But when you're doing D2C, it has so many advantages that allows you to be able to reward yourself. Having your own distribution line, having your own 3PL, creating relationships with your customers and getting to know them better because you have the emails. And of course, your margins will be better. But when you start dealing with retail is a lot different. Now you actually have to go directly to a store. You actually have to go through a third-party distributor, depending on if you use a DSD person or, DSD being you deliver it, or you use a distribution partner like a third party that's local in your area and they deliver it to the stores and they drop off. You got to give them a percentage of your product so they can drop it off into the box stores or the convenience stores or like they say, the large format or the small format stores. You have to give them a cut so then they can drop it off. And you're probably like, what do you mean a cut? Well, when you pay a distributor, a local distributor that's in your market or area, they have to get a cut off of each case or each product that they drop off to the store so that they can also get paid as well for making deliveries, taking orders, upselling on end cap, upselling on displays or anything else like that. These functions also play a factor. But then you also got to think, if you start doing heavy volume in the sense where you're like, hey, I want to go into certain stores like Whole Foods or, Sprouts, they only work with KeHE and Unify. So when you start working with KeHE and Unify, they also take a cut as well from each case or each product that you sell that could be even higher. So not only do you have to have the KeHE and the Unify distributor, which is the big time distributor, but you also have your local distributor, which could be a smaller brand depending on where you're located. It could be anywhere. If you're located like in Texas, it could be Jack Hilliard, it could be Benny Keefe, it could be A&B, those type of people that distribute. If you're in Florida, it could be Gold Coast, it could be anybody. But at the end of the day, you have to pay the smaller guys who go into these stores, that go into the smaller stores that can also do it as well too. A lot of these smaller stores, the smaller distributors I named, they can make deliveries into Target, they can make deliveries into Publix, they can make deliveries in other grocery stores, which are considered large format. They can also make deliveries into smaller format stores, which would be C stores. They make deliveries 7-Eleven, gas stations, on-prem, non-traditional. On-prem means bars, restaurants. Non-traditional means like mountain climbing gyms, things like that. So they can make deliveries as well too. So you have to ask yourself, is your brand one of the type of brands where you want to be everywhere and you don't want people to be buying online? Or do you have the type of brand where you like, hey, I want them to buy online? So you have to ask yourself, is your brand like Native, where he just sold mostly everything online and he was able to do that for so long, bootstrapping it until he sold his company for $100 million in cash? Or is your brand kind of like Poppy, or is it like some of the other brands, Poppy, Olipop, any of those dude wipes where you're like, hey, we want to go big, we're selling online, but we want to be in the store so people can go grab us at any moment of the day and not have to wait to buy us online. I know that was a lot, but to break it down, you have to ask yourself, are you either a D2C or you either going to go straight to retail? But do remember this, a lot of people do start off with D2C first, build their business up, and then they slowly transition to retail. Prime example, Liquid Death. Liquid Death first came out, they were on D2C. They were strictly selling on Amazon. Amazon spent all their marketing on Amazon. They built up their consumer list, they built up their buzz, and Amazon saw it. And because Amazon saw it, Amazon owned Whole Foods. And the first store they got into was Whole Foods, which is very rare in the CPG business. No one goes into Whole Foods first. It's usually other smaller stores and then Whole Foods. But since they did so well on Amazon, the Amazon buyers saw it, and the first store they brought them into was Whole Foods, and then they brought them into Sheetz and some other places. But Whole Foods was their biggest place first, and then from there, once they got into Whole Foods, they slowly started getting into everywhere else, and boom, got it going. They were using DSD at one point, and they transferred off the DSD, doing it themselves, because DSD means direct store delivery, where you deliver yourself and your company, and now they have a third-party distributor. So with all that being said, it goes into a lot to understand if you should be D2C or retail. But most people starting off do D2C first, get their buzz going, and then they go to retail, especially depending on the product. If your product is something like candy, chips, makeup, and you can sell, do D2C. It'll cut down on all the red tape that you have to go through getting into retail. But if you have a heavy product, a beverage, water, food, or anything like that, it's best to go from D2C to retail, because retail makes it a lot easier for people to go and grab it. But if you have a smaller product, like I said, for candy, chips, like native, deodorant, lipstick, stuff like that you can easily ship and keep your margins down and make more money, I would stick with D2C. With those type of items, I would stick with D2C. But if you have food, drinks, beverage, all those type of items, I would go retail. And as you start growing on your D2C, if you have chips or candy and you want to go retail down the line. But I would focus on my D2C first and then go into the retail. So that being said, this is CPG 101 with Aaron. And yeah, if you like this, subscribe below. There'll be more episodes to come. All right then. Thanks.